Okay, welcome to the This Guy Edits podcast, the TGE podcast. This is Tyler. I'm here with the maestro, as he's known at this podcast. He requires us to call him the one and only Sven Papa. Sven, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm a little upset because I don't want to be called maestro. That's not true, but I'll get over it. Fine, call me maestro.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy what you're hearing, subscribe on whatever app you're listening to us on. We're available on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and tell friends about the podcast. It's constantly growing, which is always fun and rewarding to see because we're really doing this for our own enjoyment, and we learn a lot doing it. It's good to constantly stay on top of talking about editing, thinking about it in this specific way.
I actually think it's a good opportunity to not be an audience member when you're watching a scene and analyze it. You're just hunkering down and you're paying attention. You're making yourself watch a scene consciously. And that doesn't happen very often when I watch films. I just soak in the story and fall in love with the characters or whatever's going on. And here's an opportunity to sort of take a step back, look at it, and see why it's working. And that's what we're trying to do in this podcast. And maybe it's even better to listen than to watch.
Awesome.
No, you know what we could also talk about? I just hit
go for it.
200,000 subscribers on YouTube. Woohoo! Oh, that was terrible.
Awesome.
Woohoo!
Yeah, no, go for it.
That's me celebrating. I'm excited because it's been just over a year since I went from 100,000 to 200,000. And the first 100,000 took 2 years, so technically that means in 6 months I should be at 300,000, and in 12 months I should be Casey Neistat.
Awesome. So, and that's also because you recently bought a battery-powered skateboard?
No, not yet.
Or just
I'll do that in 12 months.
So that's super cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait to see the plaque that you get. What are we looking at?
I would have to make it myself.
Oh, they stopped doing it?
No. You get your next plaque at 1 million. But I was actually thinking this morning I should make myself a plaque if I get 250,000 subscribers.
How about when we get 200,000 podcast subscribers? Make a plaque.
Absolutely, for sure.
That's awesome, Sven. Congratulations. Yeah, obviously the channel is great. It's created a great, and I think beyond, I don't know why I'm like selling your channel. I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just saying what I like about it, so I hope it doesn't come across as I'm pushing it on the listener. But the great thing about it, you
don't have to by now, because it's so big, it sells itself.
It's such a great thing because not only has Sven been a great mentor, and I was thinking about this the other day, I don't know if I ever would have kept working as an editor if it wasn't for you. And I learned so much from working with you, and you articulate things so perfectly and clearly and just have such a great approach and technique that I'm always trying to share with people, that I think it's so cool that podcast is, that the YouTube channel is there for that reason. But then beyond that, you've created this really cool community where we have all these great contributors to all this different stuff on the YouTube channel, podcast. And you were going to talk about the fact that some of these great contributors, be it Dennis and some others that have been contributing stuff, have been kind of figuring out where to live and work as editors in relation to an article you were looking at on Frame.io. Is that true?
Yeah, that is a very good segue. That is true. I found this article on Frame.io, which came out last week, which is 5 reasons aspiring editors might need to move to LA and New York. And I was reading it, and we both live in LA, and maybe we don't realize. We always think like, no, we don't really have to be here because we're basically just working from home. But the jobs are really in this town, and the opportunity to jump into a car for a quick meeting, to meet a new director or producer, that's probably the most important part of being here. There's some other things that they mention, but I wanna tie it back to some of the people that showed interest to not only watch the stuff but contribute. And the first guy was Steve, and he lived at the time in Reno. And he got involved with the Tommy Wiseau video first time, where he helped with the animations of that video, and it became a huge success. I think it has like 850,000 views right now. So something that he contributed that I wouldn't have been able to do by myself. I mean, I know basic After Effects, but to that extent, that would have taken me weeks. And I had to do the video within a week. Help with that. And then he kept asking for me to give him more stuff to do, and that's great, because that shows initiative. That shows like this is somebody who not only is talented but has the right approach, right attitude. So then he worked on some of the science of editing videos. His friend came on board, Vinny, and ultimately they ended up moving to LA, not because of me, but because they just felt like up in Reno they were working in small agencies, getting jobs that weren't really that satisfying, and there were a lot of downtime. There was a lot of downtime in between. And so they decided, anyway, we're just going to go here. And I told them, when you come here, we should immediately do a project, because you're going to get so busy that I won't be able to afford you with the rates that I can pay, because as soon as somebody comes into this town and is actually reliable and has that self-initiative, the city just eats you alive. And so we started working on this online course, and even as we were shooting, like it took us several months, by now they are so fully booked on projects that it's hard for them to even devote the time. We're gonna make it happen in the next 2 months, but it is true that LA, and I assume it's the same in New York, for some people, once you get started, once you get here, you just go from one job to another, and it is definitely an opportunity worthwhile considering. Having said that, there are a lot of people that come here and leave, and they don't find their footing. And I'm sure you've experienced that as well with some of your friends, that it doesn't work all the time. It's not guaranteed. It has to do with how you approach it.
Yeah, I've been teaching film for 12 years, and there's some people that didn't immediately start working upon graduating.
Yep.
It turns out. But also, I think it is a weird thing now, because while obviously I agree with all that, like LA is, especially a hub for, the entertainment industry, et cetera, so is New York. There's also other things to think about. Like, for example, it has changed a lot, I feel like, since we first moved to LA, where all these opportunities that are causing Frame.io to write this article, because people are saying, oh, you don't need to be in LA anymore. Like, this article, no one would have ever thought you had to write it back when we first moved out here, because it was the spot. And now, never mind just us thinking we don't need to be in LA because we work from home, we also get offered jobs that are not in LA. I got offered like a 20-week editing job in Atlanta. There's just all kinds of stuff going on elsewhere, which is really interesting. And there's obviously a ton of filming going on. There's huge filming communities in other places, be it Vancouver, Georgia. I feel like there's another one. Oh, like Austin has like a great film community. But in terms of post and stuff like that, I don't know for sure that, I mean, obviously nothing else is really going to compete with LA at this point in time, but the weird other side of that is if you're not just an editor and you are a filmmaker, it seems like something that's greatly rewarded in filmmaking still, before globalization is complete, is having a voice and coming from a specific place. So you're always seeing great filmmakers kind of pop up with their great film that's from their place and time. So as these technical abilities, as it becomes easier and easier to make your own film and stuff like that, becomes more predominant, it's interesting to kind of see what's going to happen in that regard. Maybe someone who's not trying to seek out a career, which is obviously why New York or LA is the wise move, at least to take that gamble or take that attempt, which it sounds like these guys did. But is it, I forget what my point was going to be.
What's your point, Tyler? What are you trying to say? Well, somewhere along the line, I was going to say it's not just the quantity that you have many more opportunities. It's also the quality, like the type of projects that you have the opportunity to compete for is obviously somewhat interesting. There's a range, I would say. I mean, you get a lot of low quality stuff or stuff that you might not be excited about in terms of the creative challenge that you're facing in this town. But in Reno, it seems like there's maybe one guy that's doing interesting work, and then everything else is just like stuff where you're like, I don't know, it's just like another job. It's not inspiring me. And here in LA, you can find those interesting projects and hopefully then also make a living with that.
Well, and also it seems like there's a much larger community of resources in terms of available rentable equipment, actors, just other artists that are around for you to work with and collaborate and, make those connections. And hopefully we'll all escape this place at some time, at some point.
Absolutely.
But it is, it is still a necessity to some extent.
I want to point out a
large
YouTuber
extent.
from Canada. Her name is Marina Bruno, and she's pretty young. And she, what I really admire about her is that she just pops out one short after another. And she was doing that back in wherever she was in Canada, and then decided to go to LA and does the same thing. And immediately the quality of her projects, I could tell, not only because of her personal growth, but because also of the access she has now here in terms of the talent, immediately improved. And every short gets better and better. And I know there's going to be a feature in the very near future in her career, and it's going to be pretty solid. She's going to be a great first-time filmmaker, like the one that we're going to be talking about today.
Hey, you want to talk about 8th grade?
I'm so excited about 8th grade. You know why?
Why?
I have 2 daughters that are in that age range, and I was able to get them to watch the movie with us over New Year's, and they loved it.
Okay, so I want to hear more about that. But an interesting point about this movie is that whether the director realizes it or not, I don't believe that it was made for 8th graders. It seems like it was much more made for people that have finished 8th grade, that are adults, that are looking back on what their experience was.
I don't know. I think it's for both.
A slight irony.
He obviously made a point to screen the unrated version in theaters because it was rated R, which prevented most of the 8th graders to actually see the film, and then they started this whole campaign to find a way that kids can still see it.
So what's the final rating on it?
It is rated R as far as I know, but there's an unrated version there.
That's so interesting that it's... So definitely it wasn't made for 8th graders, but it also...
Well, they were fully expecting it to be a PG-13 and got screwed.
See. I mean, he made it... I believe with every ounce of my being that he made it for 8th graders, but I think that the ultimate result is that it wasn't for them for a few different reasons.
I think I'm going to disagree with you, and I think the scene we're going to watch, I'm going to use that as proof that he really wants 8th graders to watch this film. I mean, yes, of course he does, but it's. I think we as the grown-ups were the secondary audience, or the ones that are sort of just out of 8th grade now and whatever, college.
Yeah. Now, let me ask what your 8th grade daughter's reaction was to it.
Well, one is an 8th grader, skeptical, intrigued, and loved it. And to the point where one of my daughters then made a viewing party a few weeks later with all her friends to see the movie again.
That's awesome. It just blows my mind that, I mean, what links would have had to have been gone to make it PG-13?
Well, I think the reasoning was that it's dealing with some real issues like potential rape, sexual assault, social anxiety, suicidal notions. I
mean, I don't know if social anxiety is as bad as, like, some of the stuff they have in Transformers.
Yeah,
but
no, absolutely. It's so real that it's like, I guess they felt like they needed to protect kids from it, which I think is ridiculous.
But the idea of the potential rape scene is so incredibly subjective.
Yes.
I mean, that's an interesting thing to base the... Sort of. I mean, but it's not at all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't want to spoil it too much for the film, but I'm glad that they took it to the extent that they did and that they didn't go any further with it, because they could have turned something that is like feels really authentic and real into something that sort of shows the extreme of what can happen in a situation like this. And I thought it was really good to just stop at where they were, to just get the message across. Like, even though he might be like a doofus there, the mental mind game that he was playing on her was hardcore. And if she
Yeah.
would have been just any less strong in that situation, she would have found herself in a very bad situation. It was all up to her to save herself in there, and she barely made it. And that's really, I think, that's a much more important message than
Yeah.
having a rape scene here, or sort of she now has to deal with being a survivor. Because the whole film is about her being
Right.
on the verge of not making it through childhood, right? Through coming to age.
Yeah.
And I thought, so in that terms, this is a very smart choice on behalf of the filmmaker to go there and then really, really show. And this is great about the character throughout the film, is even though she is so fragile and she is so vulnerable, that she finds ways to be not just a victim, but to create change for herself.
Thinking on it, the definitely the trauma of that event was big. The repercussions of it for her was a big part of the film. So I guess that maybe had like a traumatic, I don't know, push the rating up, or the profanity or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I didn't really dig deep into this.
I
can tell you the
Everyone
R
listening
rating
wants to know.
inspired criticism, as the decision blocked many 8th grade viewers from seeing the film in theaters. In response, the distributor arranged free unrated screenings across the U.S., and it ended up grossing $13.5 million on a $2 million budget.
Yeah, it makes you think like how that movie Kids was like such an authentic portrayal.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
of
a whole
the
different
time and
level,
place,
different
but-
generation, and in a way, I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm a parent of Generation Z kids. It feels like the problems they're dealing with, it's not drugs and alcohol, but it's in terms of just mental wellness and social anxiety. It's on a different level what they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And I think there's several reasons for that. One is social media, because it's you're constantly stimulated, you're constantly looking for stimuli, but it's also that information is just readily available. So there's this pressure that you're going to be exposed all the time for whatever weaknesses you have. Has to do with that, but I think it has to do also with the sort of being overscheduled, overparented, and just feeling this pressure of not knowing what's going to happen with them. Like, there's no real path.
Yeah, and
like we had.
I don't know. Social media is like a weird place where you can be overly personal with complete strangers,
Yeah,
and yet, completely.
can completely fuck you up.
Yeah, well, that too, and just have a complete, false representation of yourself going at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And where's the real you, Sven?
Well, I wouldn't know.
You're ironically with you, you're one of them. I feel like your social media, that's just you. You know what I mean? Like, there's not like another side to Sven besides what we see on the YouTube channel and
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about
Facebook.
that. I'm certainly trying to like present myself in the best way possible. Somewhere in the middle is the truth.
We won't push this any further in case we encroach on your personal territory.
That's okay.
You want to set the movie up? Is it
Yes.
too late?
8th Grade is a 2018 American comedy drama film written and directed by Bo Burnham. And Bo, some people might know, he's a very successful comedian. Young, has a very distinct style that I think really connects with young people as well. He just jumps from one musical bit to another to a comedy routine, and it's super fast. It in itself feels like it could be a YouTube video when you see his routine. This is his first feature film directorial debut. The plot follows the life and struggles of an 8th grader played by Elsie Fisher, who got a nomination for a Golden Globe, by the way, for this, during her last week of class before graduating to high school. She struggles with social anxiety but produces vlogs giving life advice. Burnham was inspired by his own struggles with anxiety when he began writing the screenplay in 2014. He had difficulty finding funding until 2016. It's shot in Suffolk and White Plains, New York. Oh, this is interesting. Fisher was cast after Burnham noticed her on YouTube. She led a cast including Josh Hamilton and Emily Robinson. And so themes include heavy use of social media, mental health in Generation Z, and sexuality and consent. Premiered at Sundance in 2018. It was released theatrically. We talked about that. It is nominated for 4 Independent Spirit Awards, including Best Feature. I hope it's going to get an Oscar nomination.
We'll know soon. Tune in next week.
Okay, good. So, but like I said, Fisher was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actress.
Quick question. Burnham, did he start on YouTube? Did you say that? I thought he started on YouTube.
Oh, that
Really?
might be. I've only seen like 2 of his stand-up specials on Netflix before this film came out, and I had to make the connection. Oh, that's the same guy. But so that makes sense that his routine is so fast-moving and so on and so forth. I did listen to a podcast with Mark Maron a while back where he talked about his own anxiety and his panic attacks, and that's something that he discovered when he became already a household name as a comedian, that before he would come on stage, would be in the middle of a panic attack and felt like he's dying, and just powered through that, just like tried to ignore that and still went on stage and performed. And it really like just messed him up, and he had to take a long break from that for several years.
You're saying Burnham?
Yes.
Not Maron.
Well, oh, sorry. So Bo Burnham was on a podcast with Mark Maron.
What's this scene, Sven?
It's the opening scene. And
so it needs no setup because it's the very beginning of the film.
Yeah. And I picked this scene because I want to show how a filmmaker demonstrates authority and authenticity with very few shots. Because his job here is to make kids want to watch this film. Yes, it's for me as well as a grown-up and a parent and all this stuff. But I think he needs to be able to convince kids in 7 seconds or less that they should give this film a chance. And I think he accomplished that. So what do we usually do, Tyler?
So we usually watch the scene as we record the podcast and kind of give a description of what's going on, and then we go back and go into a deeper analysis. If you'd like to listen along with us, we will count down, say 3, 2, 1, click. If you'd like to just listen in your car, wherever you listen to the podcast, carry on and please do so. And someday, Dennis, our wonderful contributor to the podcast, will possibly make a amazing video out of it that you can watch on Patreon or on the YouTube channel.
Yes, he just did an amazing video on Get Out, which I haven't released yet, but it'll come out in the next few days.
Very cool.
Here we
go.
So
what I will do is I will count down. When I will say click, and you will begin playing if you wish to consume in that way. 3, 2, 1, click.
Okay, so this is sort of how every second student film starts off. Somebody wakes up, there's an alarm. We don't see the alarm, which I appreciate. It's a phone that goes off, and it lights up, and we see the face of our main character, and she has pimples. Love that. We cut to like a mirror in the kids' room with a bunch of Post-it notes that have lots of affirmations on there for her to just be positive. Immediately tells us there's something going on. She's watching a YouTube video of a makeup tutorial as she's putting on her makeup and sort of mimicking that. That video has 1.9 million views. We cut to the mirror. We cut to the character on YouTube. She is blowing her hair with a hairdryer.
She's walking into her room, and I didn't realize this before, but what she's trying... I noticed she's trying not to make up her makeup or mess up her makeup laying down, but what she's really doing is she's taking pictures on Instagram, so it looks like she woke up
Snapchat
that way. Which I never, or whatever it is.
Very
Snapchat,
important.
So it doesn't.
Very important.
So it looks like she woke up looking like this, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I never noticed. And then it's her entering school. We kind of see her hunched posture. It's an attribute that the actress brought to the role, because apparently that's how she was when she was a little bit younger, even though she just graduated 8th grade when they started filming. So really portraying that sort of lack of self-esteem. And
lots
cool
of shots from
her
behind and profile.
And then here we introduce this kid who becomes important. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Shots from behind. Oh no, nothing. It's just that we see that character that becomes important, just as if he's a random kid in the high school, random or in the middle school. Kid doing markers, her sitting in class, and you just really in a few seconds or minutes here get a real sense or feel for what it is like to be in middle school, which is not a place people generally want to be, which is interesting, and you just immediately get that sense. Edited by Jennifer Lilly, which we should point out.
Nice. I love this educational video about, I guess this is sex education, and the way she ends her introduction.
Yeah, and then there's something about what's about to happen here where you are told it could be a very certain type of movie when she looks over and sees a T-shirt over this kid, his phone on, and it definitively looks like he's masturbating. She looks away, ashamed and like disgusted by it, which says a lot in of itself. And then the other kids see it and start making fun of him, and you hear this little line of him saying, "I'm not doing that, I'm not masturbating." Which is funny because that kind of is a cool way to set the movie up, because that is a bit of a recurring theme in terms of not so sort of like the humility of being embarrassed versus it being like we were talking about with that later scene with the potential rape scene, how that's not what that scene ends up being. It ends up having like a much different meaning. So it's a cool way to kind of set up the meaning of the film with that.
Yeah, I have to add, I asked my daughters if that would ever happen in real life, that somebody would be masturbating, like in public, and both said, "Oh yeah," and I was shocked. I was like, "Oh shit!"
Wait,
this is different.
So you think it was actually happening?
They thought.
Oh, interesting. In that scene, they thought it was real. That he wasn't just doing something else and it looked like another thing, and he was getting made fun of for it.
Oh, my understanding is that he was masturbating.
So I guess I'm just taking that line, that ADR line from that character, I'm giving it way too much credence, which is he denies it, but what else was he going to do, admit it? Yeah,
exactly. He's masturbating. And I just questioned that this would never happen in real life, and both of my daughters said, "No, this is not going too far. This is what middle school is like."
Oh my God. Yeah, well, I take back everything I said.
Yeah, so we went through the scene. Wow, that was fast. And there are a couple of things I want to point out about this. It's obviously a montage to give us sort of set up her home, her what we call like her work, which is school in this case, and then her play, what she likes to do for fun, which we quite haven't seen yet here. Play would be what she's going to do with her YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I remember vaguely when Bo Burnham talked to Mark Maron in the podcast that he initially in the script set this all up through Facebook, that she had a Facebook page where she was doing it. And then all the actors basically told him this would never happen. We don't do Facebook. And then he let them decide which is the medium, and they picked Snapchat at the time, which by now maybe Snapchat is not as cool as it was back then. But it is one little detail that is crucial for this filmmaker to get right to be able to connect to this audience. If he would have stuck with Facebook, he would have lost them right there. Because for that generation, Facebook is awful. It's dead. It's what the parents look at. And these are the little things that I think really make a difference. And if you don't get it right, you're on a tough road to make a good story work.
Huh. Yeah, that's super cool. That's funny that he would even, someone who's so dialed in as him would even think that.
Well, it's really, I mean, he's using this story to deal with some of his own stuff. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he has huge insights on what it's like to be an 8th grader. That's something that he really needed to explore and trust his actors to help him with. He's sometimes it's best to tell a story that goes really, really deep with your own sort of demons when you put them in a different world, and I think that's what's going on here.
Yeah, and something I'll point out about this, about the entire film that's really cool, is everything that happens on a screen is practical.
Yep.
So she's looking at real social media, she's really recording on Snapchat, and all of that had to be designed by a graphics artist, had to create all this social media stuff for her to be able to look at and interact with, like for each character. But that gives it a very specific, realistic feel for the film also, and just when you see the lighting changing on her and stuff, it's so, there's just something about things being real that, you know, it's hard to replicate when you're green screening or improve upon, which is the only reason you should be doing special effects. But so I thought that was like a cool thing.
Yeah. I want to point out at 23 seconds when we pan up to all these post-it notes, that felt very real to me as well. This is something that one of my daughters does. So I thought it was a nice detail that immediately connected.
Yeah. And of course in big letters, making it clear it's his story, is learn a new joke every day.
Yeah. I also want to point out that they definitely show her pimples, and they're not trying to stay away from that. And again, my daughters pointed out that they really love that about the film, that they embrace the fact that she is going through puberty and not trying, because like for them, they're obsessing about trying to get rid of them. They're trying all kinds of makeup and stuff to not show it, and filters is obviously huge on the phones to get rid of it. And
right.
So that immediately connects with them. Then we're cutting to a YouTube video. Again, I want to point out, sorry, my kids, that's all they watch. They don't watch TV.
Yeah.
They barely watch Netflix. It's all about YouTube. And it is their medium.
And editing-wise, there's something, I noticed there was something delicate about the way this opening bit is put together, because you would fully expect, especially from the trailer and stuff like that and what happens later, that this movie, the generic choice is that it starts with a YouTube monologue from the main character.
Yeah.
But we are, in fact, and we don't even hear her on YouTube till all this setup. We see her consuming it, but not doing it. And it would be very easy to think that the girl who is talking, the little YouTube star whose makeup tutorial is being copied, is the star of the show. And you can tell through drowning out the sound and just so briefly cutting to it to give us just barely enough information to understand that this is being watched for information, and really focusing on our other character. You can tell a delicate job has been done just not to have anyone be confused and think that it's about the character that it's not, which is the actual YouTube star. Because I didn't even realize she had a terribly unsuccessful YouTube channel until later thinking about it. There's so many things you take for granted in movies, like, oh, she's into YouTube, she's going to become a superstar. Like, right. And then you realize no one watches her channel, like 4 people do.
That's how everybody starts, obviously, and most people end.
Yeah.
I just like that they're also intercutting between the video and what she's doing in the video in terms of her applying her makeup, and then to her basically doing the exact same thing. And to me, that also reads that she has this intimate relationship with these YouTube characters. They almost feel like they're their friends. And they're going through the same routines, same problems in life. And she's basically mirroring that. I was going to say she's trying to mirror that personality that the YouTube star has, and she's trying to become it herself.
Yeah, and I can picture the bad version of this movie where she eventually meets the YouTube star. Like, you know, that's the studio version.
Yeah. I was going to point out at 121, we kind of have behind shot that turns into profile shot. I keep noticing that profile shots really isolate the character. I think that's happening here. The from behind shot, I think, also helps to see how she's like lost in a sea of other students.
Yeah, and one of the more composed shots in this whole movie, because there's a lot of great visuals, but it all seems very, it's all composed in a way that just seems very natural, and like we were where we had to be, whereas that's one that seems very stylistically, composed, like a Kubrick shot or something, making a statement.
Is the one at 139?
where she's walking through the hall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Powerful.
like clearly that wasn't. Yeah, like I don't know how natural that is.
Guy sniffing the marker.
Yeah, and isn't that the guy she ends up having the date with later?
That could possibly be.
So I
I'm
thought it
not
was interesting,
100%
like a
sure.
cool way that you think he's a random kid, but he's actually the second character that's being introduced.
Yeah, nice little detail at 1:46. I just happened to freeze at that moment, and there's a welcome sign above her head as she goes through the corridor, and she's looking down, and it's a nice contrast of how she feels and that sign. Doodling at 2:05. Obviously something that people do when they try to keep themselves occupied when they're bored, and it also is it's kind of a signifier of mental illness that you constantly have to like keep yourself busy to be able to focus.
What are you talking about? I'm actually literally playing with Silly Putty as we record this.
I also at this point at 2:11 when she's working on her little crafty project there, she's putting together some clay to turn it into a pig, that it really feels like she, even though she's in school, it feels like she's always alone. Like it doesn't even matter whether she's there or not. Nobody really notices her. Other people are like having fun and they're working together on stuff, talking, and she's always just by herself.
Yeah.
So then we're pushing out at 2:23 from the screen. Desperate attempt from this whoever shot the school sex ed video to be really connecting with the target audience by ending it with "it's gonna be lit," and nobody pays attention. Nobody's watching it. They're all like drawing stuff or doodling.
Yeah.
And this one guy is jerking off.
And then
what else could he be doing? I mean, I don't see any other thing he could be doing there.
Well, let's see. I'm just going to listen to that line real quick. He offers some sort of explanation that I can't quite make out, but that was just my take.
I understood. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing. But
right.
That's what I would be saying in that moment if I was caught.
Yeah.
What's interesting
towards caution
about it is as all the other kids discover that other kid is potentially masturbating, we're ending on a shot on her. It's slowly dulling in as she's not even paying attention. Like this is too much to handle for her to get involved. So she's not partaking in the outrage. There could be a little relief in the boredom of this class. It doesn't even...
she just wants to keep her...
Yeah, she just basically is done. And then we cut to the main title. So I think these are 3 minutes, very well timed, very well thought out, and very effective in grabbing an audience that now you're inviting to take time, to spend time with these characters, and to face potentially some really painful themes that cut very close to the bone. And I thought it's very successful.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing. And the other thing that's worth noting is so much happens in these 3 minutes, which is great. You really get a sense of her world. I mean, so much goes by. We're there. We're in 8th grade with her by the time it ends. Yet, it doesn't feel fast. You know what I mean? It feels what you want it to feel like, which is kind of like, not in a way that takes you out of the movie, but like monotonous and draining just to have to go through her day. You know, it's not like an exciting, high-powered lawyer getting ready to, go try the case. She has to go to 8th grade.
Yeah,
so
and it feels like
it's
story.
so fast and yet feels so slow, but is engaging.
It's not just a montage. It has a through line. It's like we're staying within certain mini scenes before we move on to the next thing. So it's telling us certain things. It's not just giving you, okay, she's waking up, she's in the shower, she's walking to the bus, now she's in class. There's stuff happening that informs character.
Okay, well, thank you for listening. If you enjoy what you're hearing, please tell a friend about the podcast. It helps. The word spreading is great. The feedback we get is great. People seeing things, understanding things we don't is great. There always seems to be a little bit of a debate.
I would say I would love to really know how you felt about the film when you saw it. I'd love to know how old you are, and what sort of place in your life you are, and how this film potentially impacted you or made a mark. I'd be very interested to hear about that. And one way to do that is to go on a Reddit post, and that's at thisguyedits.com/comment, and hopefully we'll have a lively discussion there, as well as make suggestions about new films. I started putting up a little Trello board for myself with all the suggestions that come in, so some of the upcoming episodes could potentially be Mulholland Drive, Black Klansman, and we talked about Bandersnatch. So these are some ideas floating around. Let us know if you have some really interesting films. We find that some of the best podcasts come actually from listener suggestions.
So give us some suggestions.
Yeah, and I mean, by no means are we experts. We're still sort of on training wheels as we're doing this podcast. But we have opinions about things, and we are filmmakers. So there are certain things that we notice, and I'm sure there's certain things that you notice, and it's good to have a discussion about it, to apply it to our craft.
In that case, we would like to thank Kurta for the music. New album coming soon, and as Sven always says,
happy editing.
There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers. There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers.
I already have our blooper. Don't
What is
worry.
it? Okay.
It's the 200,000. The 200,000 attempt. Where you're saying it in different ways. You're expressing your enthusiasm in different ways. I hope you recorded that. So this is 52 minutes. Oh my God.